On this episode, I've got my returning guest, Mr. David Newman. David, say hi.
Hello, everyone.
We're going to talk about market eminence, how to really stand out in your market. It's going to be a little bit painful. We're going to talk about the greatest band entrepreneur of all time. We're going to talk about David's whiteboard method that he helps people realize how to massively shift the market in boardrooms. The one thing that's going to really happen and hurt if you do this right, but you need to have it happen, the importance of being radically generous, a website drinking game, the three questions you need to stand out, and a law firm strategy that everyone should take, plus all the bonuses that come with Market Eminence, his new amazing book. You've got to pick it up. All this on the Garlic Marketing Show. But another way to stand out is through customer stories. Go to videogaystory.com/finder to find your 7-figure story, so you can really speak to those 7-figure clients. All right, let's get started.
My name is Gino Wickman. I was introduced to Ian, and that's what brought me into this video world and got me embracing this video world. And Ian did exactly what I hoped. He got me really comfortable with putting videos out to the world. And having a great strategy around putting videos out to the world, because there's so much more than just shooting a video. And so the way that he positions those videos, optimizes those videos, he's done a great job.
All right. How long did it take you to write this book?
So it probably took me about a year, and it wasn't a year of writing. It was probably 6 months of thinking. And then really going back to some of my previous books and some of my speeches and what I help with clients with, and collating and curating and sequencing everything and the best advice and the best guidance that I've given people on things like positioning, differentiation, articulation, distinction, how to decommoditize yourself, how to decommoditize your brand. And then it was a distillation process, because this book is short. It's like a flourless chocolate cake. So I left a lot on the cutting room floor, and the cutting room floor, of course, I have as bonuses. So people don't necessarily miss out on that stuff, but it did not earn its place in this very tight, like you said, kind of workbook style, page by page, nugget by nugget type of handbook.
Yeah, I would almost call I mentioned Meditations for Mortals, but it's almost like marketing meditations.
Yes.
There's a lot of
it's marketing meditations to help you kick ass and take names.
Yeah.
And it takes some bravery. I call this the bravery step between reading the book and even implementing the first couple things that you're learning from the book. That takes bravery. And the good news is, for folks watching and listening, that I know folks, Ian, in your audience are the brave ones and the smart ones. 95% of people that read the book will not do anything as far as that bravery step of crossing over from information to implementation.
And no offense, only 10% of people finish books. So now you're at a 1%er if you take some action.
That's true. You are so right.
This book's really easy to read. It's not in a bad way, but there's so much that people pile stuff into books, and you're like, oh my God, what am I reading here? And you've said the same thing 27 times. And these are all pithy, and I love the word pithy, even though it sounds weird, but when I think of Seth Godin, I think of pithy books.
Yes.
When you think of these marketing meditations and you're talking about bravery, why does it require bravery? Because to me, it seems so simple. It's
sure.
Yeah.
Well, people that are already drinking the Kool-Aid and smart marketers like you read the book and it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Regular people, which is who the book is written for, really, CEOs, founders, professional services firms, professional experts, a lot of this scares the living daylights out of them, because we're talking about magnetizing the right fits and repelling the bad fits.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a quick little artistic quotation. There was an abstract expressionist painter, and I wish I could remember who it was. But abstract expressionism back in the 1930s, 1940s, it was like, what the hell is this? This stuff is ugly. This isn't painting that we're used to. It's like Jackson Pollock and Picasso and ew, gross. one of these painters, Ian, said, I want you to be either repulsed or exhilarated. When you look at my art, I want you to be either repulsed or exhilarated. Now you ask, why does this scare some people? Why don't they do it? They're afraid of repelling, right? They're afraid of that repulsed reaction. And so I'm going to quote the great business philosopher Jerry Garcia, who says, you don't want to be considered just the best of the best. You want to be considered the only ones who do what you do. And then Jerry Garcia went on to explain the success of the Grateful Dead. He says, we're like licorice. That a lot of people don't like licorice. They take out the black jelly beans. They would never buy licorice at the store. They think it tastes like soap. A lot of people don't like licorice, but the people who like licorice, they like it a lot. And they buy licorice by the pound and by the bushel. They buy the Swedish licorice and the Norwegian licorice and the German licorice. And they go to the licorice blogs and the licorice YouTube channels, and they're all in on licorice. So he says, we're a lot like licorice. You might not like us, but the people that like us are fanatics. And that, my friends, is the best picture I can paint of what market eminence really means.
That I love that, because it's simple, but it's simple but not easy. Right?
Yes, correct.
It is not. It's simple to implement, but it's not easy to implement because it takes direction, it takes excitement, it takes perseverance, and willing to get some bad comments too. Right?
Yes. So one of the mantras in the book is, if you don't risk turning some people off, you will never truly turn anyone on. And I think that, when we use the words divisive or polarizing, some people think that those are negative, terrible words. They either think politics or something else. And polarizing is amazing, because imagine if your business, through everything you do, everything you say, all of the great work that you do in the world, if all of that you could stop persuading, convincing, and chasing, and instead you could start filtering and sorting. So this client is for us, this client is not for us. This project is for us, this project is not for us. This employee, this job applicant is for us. This job applicant, no way, this job applicant's not for us. So we stop striving, persuading, convincing, and chasing, and instead we have the luxury now, because the world knows who we are, what we stand for, what we stand against. We are now in the position of filtering and sorting, and only working with the best fits and the ideal fits and the people that we really want to serve, the people that we really want to have come work for us, the people that we really want to have invest with us or acquire our company. And you are repelling all the bad fits in all of those stakeholder categories.
It's thinking about this. I think there's a lot of people listening to this going, well, there's this, and I hate to, abundance mindset is an important thing, but it's more than an abundance mindset. It's the internet changed the size of our market and changed our markets. And now, we don't just have the people that we can connect to. It's anyone out there. And I think more and more Netflix and all this have made it to the point where we want exactly what our taste is. And people more and more know that. And if something's bland or doesn't fit their taste, they're going to ignore it. Yeah. And the time I started our company, YouTube was bought by Google, and I was working with attorneys, and they all thought they were all going after the same people, like criminal defense attorneys, all thought they were going after the same people. And I talked to them you all want different clients. Yeah. You all are completely different people. Just your website and your Yellow Pages ad looks exactly the same. And they're all scared. But now it's just this huge opportunity. And I love that, because it's you can select. And I actually have some of our clients are one of my clients, original clients, the other day, we just remade his videos, and he's like, I need to take my phone number off our website. I'm getting too many people that I don't want. I just want them to go watch my YouTube videos and then get the right people. To your point, it is an amazing thing that can help other people not just do that, but enjoy their business and so much more. But, coming back to your point, why and how can should a CEO of like this mid-market company, I'm a $20 million company, I really need everyone. I don't want to turn off everyone.
Yeah. Well, so this is the big point of resistance. Every audience, every client, every boardroom I walk into, they go, okay, David, yeah, this really sounds good. Except go back to the part where we're turning some people off. And I said, okay. So what did I just say a moment ago, Mr. CEO? I said we're going to powerfully attract the right fits and we're going to repel the wrong fits. So think of this like a giant electromagnetic fence that is surrounding your company. And we're going to pull in all the great fits, repel, keep out all the bad fits. And they go, I get that, but go back to the repel the bad fits. I'm like, okay, all right, listen. I go to the whiteboard and I say, give me all the characteristics of a terrible client, a client that you would never want to work with. Well, they nickel and dime everything. They question our rates. They're hard to work with. They're not responsive. They blow off our calls. Okay, great. Let's go down the list of bad hires. Have you ever had a bad hire? Oh my God, have we ever? Give me the characteristics of the bad hire. They don't share our vision. They're not in alignment with our values. They come in late. They leave early. They do the minimum. They have a check the box mentality. They're unethical. They steal, whatever. Okay, so I'm writing all this down, Ian. I have this big whiteboard now filled with 7, 8, 10 characteristics of all the bad fit clients, talent, investors, partners, everything. And I say, folks, let me repeat what I just said. We are going to repel all the people that have these beliefs, traits, behaviors, and characteristics. How do you feel about that? And you can look around the room. Everyone's shoulders soften. They look with this misty-eyed glaze at my whiteboard, and they go, oh, that would be great. And I say, I know. Welcome to Market Eminence. And now they're not worried about repelling people because that's who we're repelling. We're not repelling anyone that you would love to work with, love to have come work for you, love to have invest with you. You're literally taking the worst of the worst and kicking them out of your universe.
Oh, man. People are still scared.
They are. But that's my first line of defense is when I at least map that part out and they're like, oh, okay, now I feel a little bit better. But we still have to continually reinforce and, the best way that I had a client from New Orleans who had this amazing Cajun accent. And I was explaining this concept to him, and I can't really do the Cajun accent, but you'll get the idea.
Thank you for not admitting that, because a lot of people can't.
Because there's nothing worse than a failed accent. So the guy says, "Oh, David, I know what you're talking about. My grandpappy had a saying that is totally in alignment with this." I said, "What was your grandpappy's saying?" Well, he would sit me down and he would say, "Son, you ain't nobody till somebody hates your guts." And I said, I must have arrived. I think I've arrived because I definitely have people who hate my guts. So yay me. So that's actually a badge of honor. If you're not getting a little hate mail, you are not doing this right.
Oh, man. And it's funny because, we get YouTube videos out there and all of a sudden they're getting, like, everyone's like, I want more comments. You start getting comments and then there's hate in there. And they're like, should we get rid of these? I'm like, no. A, it's engagement. But B, that means there's someone out there who loves it, is probably not commenting on it, right? And
what I find often, and by the way, I think internet comments are where humanity goes to die. But separate from that, if you have a good following, a decent following, and you get a hate comment or a piece of hate mail, one of your super fans will watch that video and they will reply to the hater saying, "No, man, you don't get it. This company's awesome. They do it. Blah, 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 blah." you don't even get involved. You're hands off, right? Because you will let the super fans handle the haters. You don't need to handle the haters.
Yeah. So what's when, there's the moment they're like, I need to do this, but then there's a moment they're like, oh, this works, right? For me, like with the YouTube, it's like the clients, actually, I just got an email from a client a while ago. It was like, I don't know if this is going to work. And then like they get the phone call, they're like, the people called and they're acted like they're my best friend.
Yes.
What's the moment when someone realizes, oh, this works?
Perfect. And by the way, I love the video version of the answer. The Market Eminence version of the answer is when you get an email or when you get an internet comment on one of your blogs or you get, a reply to one of your newsletters that says, oh my gosh, finally, someone who gets it. Finally, someone who's speaking the truth about this industry or this practice or this principle or whatever it is, right? Because Market Eminence is about being contrarian. It's about shifting beliefs. It's about having a very intimate knowledge of your target market, their hopes, their dreams, their goals, their wishes, their aspirations. And it's about you being radically generous and radically helpful in helping them separate the signal from the noise. Bust some myths, share some radical truths. It's very important that in our visibility campaigns, that it's not vanilla. It is definitely standing for some practices, principles, behaviors, and beliefs, and it's standing against all of the bad, unhelpful, perhaps even harmful behaviors, beliefs, practices in your industry. So when you get that email or that message or that comment that says, finally, someone's speaking the truth. We just talked about this in a board meeting last week. Oh my gosh, I feel like you've bugged our offices. I feel like you've installed video cameras in our conference rooms because we were just going through this exact problem. Once you get those kinds of responses, you know that you're on your way to Market Eminence.
That is, don't you love it when it's an amazing thing to hear, but you're not going to get that without risking some stuff. Right?
That's right. No one ever responds in that way to anything vanilla or middle of the road.
No. Yeah, or just plain like, hey, we're the number one market consultant, blah blah blah, right? And oh my God, corporate speak.
Yeah. Well, there's a fun drinking game. Let me share this fun drinking game with our viewers. I want you to go to your website, and I want you to look for jargon, buzzwords, and cliches that any of your competitors might be using. And of course, because you've got blinders on, you'll need to go to some of your competitors' websites, YouTube channels, see what they're saying, see what they're writing, see what they're shooting on video. Then you go back and you assess your own platform. Look at your website, look at your socials, look at your YouTube. Every time you say something or have written something that a competitor can or has said or written, you take a drink. I recommend some really fine bourbon, and I also recommend you do this on a Friday afternoon because you will not get a lot of work done the rest of that day, but you will have one heck of a good time that Friday afternoon.
Well, and then maybe the next step is after you're done drinking, you record some videos of what's really different.
Yes.
So from a Market Eminence standpoint, what's the process of, what are the first few steps someone can take to test this out and get this out there?
Yes.
Because I think speed to testing is one of the hardest things for people to do.
Yeah.
But, I was reading Dan Sullivan and, 80 some years old, obviously super successful, founder of Strategic Coaching. He's like, my biggest thing I wish I would have done is just put out my ideas fast.
Yes.
And so how does one go about going, okay, this is the thing I need to try out? And
yes.
The
baby steps are super, super important. I'm going to give folks 3 questions that they can answer right now. Grab a piece of paper. All we need here is keywords, short phrases, bullets. But this is your baby step, toe in the water, Market Eminence toolkit. So I want you to develop a contrarian slant. The 3 questions I have for you. Question number 1, what conventional wisdom in your field do you secretly, secretly, think is completely wrong, but you've never publicly challenged it? And so write about that, write that down. What are some bullets, keywords, phrases that come to mind? Number 2, second question, kind of leading into the same second doorway, leading into the same pool of contrarian slant. What harsh truth about your industry are clients desperate for someone to finally acknowledge openly? I call this the elephant in the room question. What's the elephant in the room in your industry that no one's talking about, but clients are just, it makes them crazy, and when they come to you, it might even be one of the first things they complain about. Question number 3, what strong point of view do you already hold, that you already believe in your heart and soul, that would make industry insiders uncomfortable, but it resonates deeply with your ideal clients? So I know you have a fantastic background, Ian, in law firms and legal marketing with video. A lot of law firms, they charge hourly. Still, I think 90% of law firms charge hourly. Imagine if your law firm decides to go to fixed fee billing and you start talking about fixed fees, no surprises, just results. And then in your video marketing, you start saying things like, you know why we use fixed fees? Because we believe that getting your case solved and getting you a positive judgment, the sooner we do that, the better. And we are much more concerned about getting you to your destination than we are about running the taxi meter. Now, every other law firm is losing their mind. They're like, oh my God, we have hourly billing. We charge $900 an hour. A Xerox copy costs $6. These guys are blowing up the world. What is going on? Because hourly billing is a standard industry practice in the legal profession. What if you said, you know what? That doesn't serve clients. Frankly, it doesn't even serve us because we want to have a life. We don't want to work 80, 90 hours. Why do lawyers and law firms have to work 100-hour weeks? Hourly billing. If they could get that done in 40 hours, make the same money or more money, do you think they'd want to work a 40-hour week instead of a 100-hour week? I think they would. So it's good for the law firm, it's good for the lawyers, and it's really good for the clients. If you were that law firm, and by the way, if there's a law firm watching this, you owe me some royalties on this idea. If you were to do that, your law firm practice would explode in a good way. You would have people lining up around the block going, finally, someone who understands we just want the result. We don't want to be nickel and dimed hour after hour in 6-minute increments. And that would be a law firm that would immediately rise to market eminence.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of attorneys out there. They're like, I've had them as clients. And they're like, I pride myself because I outwork everyone. I'm like, yeah, because you bill them hourly.
It's true.
So I was like, yeah, if I did that too. And so, I mean, it's amazing and it's scary, but those are 3 great questions. And what can we do now? Like, 'cause that's like, oh, okay, this is great. I should do that. You're right. But like when you leave those boardrooms,
yes,
what percentage of those people take action?
I would say about 75% take action on something, right? And we always start with baby steps. We're not asking anyone to jump into the deep end of the pool, blow up their business, become a crazy-eyed revolutionary in step 1.
Jerry Maguire.
Exactly, right. We're not doing the Jerry Maguire storm out of the office and blow up your career, blow up your business. But they do take the baby steps. I think the interesting question is how far do they go and how quickly do they go that far? So some people, they're in the baby step kind of testing phase for about 6 months. Some people are in the baby step testing phase for about 6 weeks. and then they go ratchet it up one more on the dial, and then another 4 to 6 weeks, ratchet it up one more. Now they get to a level 3, level 4, and let's say there's 10 levels total, 10 being Jerry Maguire, or 10 being the Grateful Dead, right? If you want to look at a very successful example. So not every band is going to be the Grateful Dead, but I want to go back to the Grateful Dead analogy for a second, which might reassure people about going further faster. Jerry Garcia also said, and truly he was a really great business philosopher. He didn't know it and he didn't couch it in those terms. But he said, the funny thing about this band, we do not have the greatest guitarists. We do not have the greatest singers, right? I do not have the greatest voice. We do not have the greatest drummer or the greatest bass player. But we've taken the ingredients that we have and we've made something unmistakable. So is it about being the very best virtuoso, right? No, of course not. And by the way, best is a game you cannot win.
Nope.
Because who's to determine best? Best according to who? Best according to what criteria? Best for what kind of client? Or best by what, what's the grading system around best? But what people can feel in their soul immediately is different. So you aim for different, you don't aim for being the best, and you go for that difference that matters to your audience, that matters to your stakeholders. Because different for the sake of being different, just being weird, just being edgy, just saying crazy stuff, that is not what this is about. This is not about PR stunts. This is not about flash in the pan attention grabs. This is about being more of who you already are in the marketplace. Flying your freak flag, if you will, being more of who you are to attract more of the people who are in alignment with that.
Yes. And it's such an important thing. Not that you glossed over it, but you said a lot there, but something that I think is really important for people to learn is like what I call the positioning stack. You don't have to be the best at 3 or 2 or 3, any of these 3 things or 4 things, right? Like you said with Jerry Garcia, but they're good. But when you combine them, there's no one else like them. And especially when you add on merchandising. And he was a brilliant entrepreneur because, like, you throw on merchandising, the fact that they let people record the music, and spread the music everywhere, and because they knew they made all the money in the tickets and the merchandising was genius.
Totally.
And I'm looking right now, they are number 7 of the most merchandising sold of any band. I mean, you got Beatles, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Nirvana ahead of them. And then they made some money merchandising.
I love that you just looked that up. That's amazing.
I'm looking up facts all the time. I like to know. My wife hates it because I do it like while we're watching movies.
Sure.
But this is, so important. So let's get back to Market Eminence. You can pick it up, get motivated, and if someone wants really to get, I'll say kicking nuts or whatever, kicking the Yahoo, and really get motivated to do this, how would they work with you?
So there are a couple of things. I do speaking, so we can certainly talk about a speaking event for your group or community or company or team. And if you want to go further than that and have a custom designed Market Eminence game plan, we can do a strategic work session or a deep dive day, I call it. And then for the folks that want to go to level 3, I have a 90-day guided implementation that will help you overcome some of these fears, vet out and sort out your messaging, positioning, packaging, differentiation, help you implement it across the channels and platforms that are important to you, and kind of hold your hand and keep you on the right track. And so that 90-day guided implementation is the done with you. So we basically, teach it, coach it, or do it with you.
Nice. And so, and you said there's a lot of extras when you go to marketeminence.com.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the extras.
So I mentioned that we started out with a lot of resources and it was a cutting and trimming exercise. So there are bonus chapters, there are lost chapters, there are training videos, there are all the worksheets that are in the book. It's very, very do this now sort of oriented. All the worksheets are printable, shareable with your team if you have a team. And the fun thing that I did, because of course, 2026, you can't come out with a book unless it has some hook into AI. there are AI prompts, there are chat GPT prompts
Nice.
that I put together a prompt power pack that will help you use your favorite AI tool to brainstorm things like your contrarian slant, your future snapshot, your influence tracker, all of these different exercises that are in the book. If you're a little bit stuck, you pop into ChatGPT or Claude or your favorite tool that you use, and I've given you, I think it's 7 or 10 basic prompts, another 7 or 10 more involved prompts, and then 5 mega prompts that are like over a page long that require minimum input from you, but that will help you brainstorm and map out all the possibilities for the different aspects and angles of your market eminence. So I had a lot of fun putting that prompt pack together for people.
Very cool. MarketEminence.com. You can stand out, stop being boring, start to rule your industry or make your own industry.
Yeah.
David Newman, thank you so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show. We'll put a link to all that in the show notes. And you know what? If you guys did the 3 questions and you have your answers to the 3 questions and you're watching on YouTube, put your comments down below. We'll put a link to your YouTube channel. Drive some people to your YouTube channel. But David, thank you so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show.
Ian, so much fun as always. Thank you, my friend.
And thank you all for taking David and I on your journey, making us part of your story. This has been Ian Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.